in their mother tongue and 3 other subjects as well, and for the very first time achieving 30% in 3 subjects in grades would also see learners move into the next grade. The proposals have already been published in the Government Gazette and they are still open for public comment. We're discussing this matter now with Professor Mary Metcalf. Prof is the former MEC for Education in Gauteng, but she's currently Senior Research Associate at the University of Johannesburg. Prof, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Good morning.
Thank you so much indeed. We're also hoping to be joined by the spokesperson to the Department of Basic Education, Elijah Mhlanga. Now, your take on the department's proposal. This is not the first time they did exactly the same thing to the other grades, and now, of course, this moving to grade 7, grade 8, and grade 9.
I think that this focus on the nitty-gritties of the pass rate, and I enjoyed listening to you explain it, and I wondered how many people were at home thinking, let me make sense of this. I think the public concern about this is entirely the wrong focus. Why the department is having to look so carefully at the pass rate in grade 8 and 9 is because it represents a crisis that is a bigger crisis and should be the focus of public debate and the public conversation. And that grade 8 and 9 pass rate represents the huge failure rate in grade 8 and 9 and the large numbers of learners who we're losing to the education system, and which is undermining our social development and our inclusive democracy. About 50% of our learners are being lost, never writing matric, leaving schools without any certification, and we're losing them at that phase. The conversation should be, firstly, what can we do to support these young people to feel included? The second question is, how did it get to be like that?
Point, yes.
And that has to do with the investment that we need to make in ensuring that children learn to read and learn basic numeracy early on in the foundation phase. We know from the Pearls report that by grade 4, large numbers, 70%, 80%, it differs across languages, are not able to read. And in to read with comprehension. And that means that when they move into grade 4, 5, 6, and 7, they're struggling to make sense of the material that they're given. So for me, the national conversation has to be, how do we improve the success of our learners? How do we stop the loss of young people? Grade 8, 9, and 10.
I think that is really the concern of the Teachers Union, SADU, as well, saying that the department is not solving the actual problem, but they are sort of, overplaying the situation, which, of course, in return affects the quality of our education.
Exactly. So SADU is right, and people that are saying we're concerned about quality are correct. But it's not going to be fixed by fiddling with 40%, 50%, 45%, or 38%. It's going to be fixed by the country looking at what's going wrong in our schools. How do we support early grade teachers to teach more effectively? How do we get more books into the hands of learners so that they can read? You only learn to read by reading. It's like driving. We need to get books into schools. We need to get material to teachers so that they can teach more effectively. We need to help teachers to learn new methodologies of teaching reading. And we need more books in African languages.
As well, yeah. But is the situation really worrying, the current situation of our education system, Prof? Because do you remember that, was it last year when the Basic Education Department dropped mathematics as a compulsory subject?
Okay, this question is a really interesting one for me, and I have quite a strong view. So actually, since 1990, 2000, somewhere, maths is now compulsory for everybody, which it wasn't before. My generation and the generation subsequently could drop maths early on in high school. Now everybody has to do some maths literacy and pure maths. I am often amused at the outrage that ordinary South Africans feel that learners do maths literacy rather than pure maths, when in fact, and I'm speaking honestly now, when I look at the syllabus for maths for grade 8, I can't do it.
Is it more difficult?
It's algebraic reasoning. it's the kind of maths that I don't use and haven't used much in my life.
So you basically don't see anything wrong with them dropping maths as a compulsory
we're saying
subject?
If you're not going to do pure maths, if you're not going to do trigonometry, if you're not going to do integers, if you're not going to do things that you've probably also forgotten, you will do the use of maths in everyday life, which is what sustains most of us. So when the department said in grade 8 and 9, if you're not succeeding in pure maths, it's okay, because you actually are going to take a different route, I supported that.
Maths literacy, if it's working. Yeah, but this is happening in a senior phase. And as much as you talk to the foundation phase, that is where things should have started happening. The repercussions of what the department is doing now, I would want to believe they go beyond what we see here, because they struggle when they go to tertiary.
Okay.
For example, at universities, you need to obtain 50% for admission into exams and get 50% or more in exams.
Okay, so firstly, let's look at the whole country and all of our youth in an inclusive way. The tertiary education is crucial and it's highly competitive. In order to succeed and get into university, your pass rate has to be way above 50. True. So if you're aiming for tertiary, you were never aiming for shall I get 49 or shall I get 51. You were always aiming higher, for 60s and 70s. That group of learners, well, students, young people, needs a lot of support for many reasons, for reasons of poverty, for reasons of lack of finance, and they are a very important group. But they are no more important than the 80% that don't get to university and the 50% who don't even get matric. And our education system needs to build inclusion, self-esteem, a sense of belonging for all of those. Yeah. If there are learners who are not academic inclined and they succeed with 40s and 45s, but they leave school with a sense of self-respect and confidence in their ability to contribute to society, to be a parent, to be a community member, and have self-respect, we must build all of those skills.
Mm-hmm. So it's not about university entry, it's about what learners can achieve. Is that what you're saying? Their capabilities.
It's what they can achieve and how they feel supported and strong and capable to engage in society. That's what we have to give our young people.
All right. Prof, we have to leave it at that. Quite an interesting one. A different perspective from what other critics are saying that it looks like now the Department of Education is sort of dropping the standard. But of course, you have a different view on that. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Professor Mary Metcalf, an education expert who's also a senior research associate at the University of Johannesburg. We're taking a quick ad break here on Morning Live. There's still so much. Oh, before the ad break. All right. It's just a little after 7:30. It's time for your headlines, and Leanne has all the details.